What
Hey
the?
everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bogey Proof. We got Joey, Matt, and myself, Mike, on the line. Possible dial in from Eric along the way, so keep a listen out for that. Joey, where are you coming from, and are you sipping on anything tonight?
New Hampshire boys, back up here on the grind, as you know. Not drinking on anything tonight. Long day, just tired. Not in the mood for a nice alcoholic beverage. It's been hot, so just hydrating with the water. Hydration is key. You know what I mean? Fontaine, what do you got tonight, my man?
Hydration is key. I can confirm that. Sources are confirmed. I'm from Connecticut. There's actually a ridiculous thunderstorm going on outside right now. So
Mhm.
if I cut out at any point, but my apologies. But I got a little Four Roses. This wasn't intended to be this big of a pour. Wait, let me get that for the camera. But I was like down to the end of my little, what is it called? Like a decanter. I have like a nice little glass thing for them. And I was like, well, let's like top it off versus saving a half a sip. So a little over pour tonight, but worse things have happened and we'll battle. So Mikey, what are you sipping on tonight? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm coming to you guys from Western Massachusetts. Spending a little 10-day stretch here with the parents. Fontaine and I will be on the golf course here on Saturday, so catching
Hey,
up with a couple buddies. Just drank 2 Miller Lights with the Jack Dombeck Jr.
Mr. Miller Lite.
They're known. The family's known from miles around as just being a Miller Lite disposal. It's a disposal situation there at the house. So we had a couple there, and we were chatting a little bit, catching up. He's away this weekend, and I'm not going to see him here, but before I head back to Chicago, so it was good catching up with him. And now I've parlayed that into a little Woodford Reserve here to end my night.
I like that glass, Mikey.
I didn't know I had it, to be perfectly honest. And my mom said the other day, she's like, "Did you buy another bottle of Woodford Reserve?" I was like, "No."
What?
So I guess I had like a half a bottle hanging around from the holidays. So a pleasant surprise here. I'm gonna enjoy that here as we
Gift that
chat a
keeps
little
on
bit of golf.
giving.
The gift that keeps on giving is correct. As Phil would do, it's just a big thumbs up at this point. But yeah, we'll jump into a little PGA, and then we'll go on to kind of some Memorial Day plans and some fun stuff that we're getting into. But Mr. Fontaine, give us a little take on Phil Mickelson. I know you've chatted a bunch the last couple of days within the gambling lab, but kind of what's your own personal, and maybe give us a little synopsis on what you guys chatted about Phil Mickelson and kind of the result of the PGA.
Yeah, so like you said, Mikey, myself and the gambling crew, and actually you joined us on Monday, threw some stuff out on the YouTube. So go check us out on YouTube at Bogey Proof. Got going through your daily fantasy lineups and all that fun stuff. So there's some content there for you guys. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this year's PGA between the golf course, Phil winning, the history, all that stuff was one of the best PGAs I can honestly ever remember. Um, with Phil winning at 50, having no form coming in, it being the longest course in major championship history, like all these things that just don't add up to like Phil winning, like the way you had to drive it out there to stay out of the ridiculous spots that were around Kiowa and battling the wind all weekend, the weird greens, all the different things you heard as you watched it. It was super, super impressive out of Phil and just such an awesome story for him to win at 50 with his brother on the bag. Like he's been honestly like more of a sideshow the last few years. He's doing all the matches, he's doing all these, the coffee thing he's got going on, like all these weird things that he does now where his golf just seems secondary to it. And it's like almost like the booth is right around the corner for him. And then he does something like this and gets his sixth major. And, now that he's got six, I think he passes Seve. It's like he gets, that's just so much. It just adds, six is just so much more than five when it comes to majors because they're so elusive to get. And for him to do it at 50 after how long it took him to get the majors in his career going, it's just awesome. I really enjoyed watching this weekend from Thursday through Sunday. The golf course delivered in every aspect. And just to have that kind of a leaderboard for Phil to go head to head with Brooks on Sunday, and for Brooks is, the last 5 years, he is the guy in the majors, right? He's the guy that doesn't seem to falter. He always finds a way to get it done, you know, whatever you want to call it. And for him to just look him right in the eyes and be like, not today, you know, like I found that to be pretty awesome, just of like a generational thing, right? I mean, to go back to the Tiger doc that came out, right? Like there's all these guys when Tiger started coming back. Man, I would love to see Tiger and Sunday on a major. And then the famous quote of the fuck you do when like he ended up winning at Augusta. Like I feel like this was Phil's version of that, right? Like these guys like, oh, I love talking to Phil. He's got so much knowledge, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, here you go. Here's Phil on Sunday in a major. And like he didn't skip a beat, you know, like he just, I think the biggest thing on Sunday, and I'm going on a little long here, but the biggest thing on Sunday for me was whenever he didn't hit the best shot or he found himself in a kind of a tough spot, the just veteran fucking cool, calm, collected, let's not make a mess of this and just make a bogey and not make it any more than that. You know, that's where I think he stood out. I didn't see him overly close like on Thursday, Friday. I saw him, obviously he was up in the mix on the leaderboard, but I didn't watch his like full round by any means. But watching him full round Sunday, every time he made a bad swing, he did this. He like made the smartest decisions and like executed difficult golf shots to limit the damage as best he could. I don't know, Joey, did you get to watch too much of it? I know you're probably working, but
Yeah, no. I mean, luckily I actually got to watch Sunday afternoon, probably majority of the round. So I watched his fifth tee shot or his tee shot on the fifth hole, and I had to hop in the shower. So I missed him hole out from the bunker, which was, like
little Phil magic there, man. That's what
I should have known, like, oh, he went in the bunker. I should probably say and watch this, but so I hopped in the shower and then I watched the rest of the afternoon. It was I mean, I just like Brooks. I feel like he was just in a bunker of sand or like just anywhere off the course on every single hole. Like that's just what kind of I remember with his game. Besides the point. But yeah, no, like you were saying, I'm just so happy to see Phil up there getting it done. 50 years old, 6 major. I mean, it just puts a smile on your face. And I've always kind of been a Phil guy since I've picked up golf. Like my uncle has always liked Phil, and like that's kind of a reason why I've gravitated towards him as well. Like, I mean, I don't know about you guys. Like in the Tiger versus Phil, like the first Tiger versus Phil match, I wanted Phil all the way. Like, I didn't even want like. In a way, like that's Phil's thing that he has to win. You can't take that away from him. It's like Tiger's already got all the other things, but
yeah.
No, I mean, as far as the major goes, it was amazing to watch. I wish I got to watch more of the tournament. Kiel looks absolutely amazing. I hope to go play there one day. A little bogey-proof retreat. So I don't know, Mikey. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I got to watch quite a bit. Really, all 4 days. Watched a ton of live group coverage on Thursday and Friday. My only gripe was that it was slow as fuck out there. And I think the golf course had a lot to do with that, but it was definitely just difficult at times to watch there when it took 5.5 hours for a featured group to get through. A lot of watching, them stand around, which is not the greatest TV watching experience. But then Saturday and Sunday with Phil in the mix and, some big time names on Saturday and then into Sunday as well. And I thought it was very interesting how many back end top 10s and top 5s, like these kind of, I'm not going to say no name, but kind of blast from the past, I would say, with Padraig Harrington getting it done. Shane Lowry hasn't been great, but had a good day on Sunday. Ricky Fowler finishing like T8, T9. So I think Fowler some of those. Yeah, that was a tough bogey. That was a tough bogey on 18.
That got him into the Masters if he makes that. Top 5 in the PGA, auto-exempt into the Masters. And we all know how much it killed him to not be in there this year. Oh, that hurt so bad watching that lip out like that. I was like, oh, my God. But to your point, the Padraig Harrington thing is pretty funny because, like, Ryder Cup captain had just beat all of his players this week, which was pretty funny. But, yeah, it was a wild top 10 of backdoors for sure.
For sure. And, like, I think – those are the instances where you realize how good, some of these top 10, top 15 players in the world are. The John Rahms, the Colin Morikawas, the Justin Roses of the world that really didn't hear about all week long. And then you see the final score. It's like they were in the top 10. So I think that gives us a little perspective as like, okay, this is how people really rise in the world. It's not the wins obviously push you up the world rankings really quickly, but it's these top tens and majors and these tons of points and the WGC events, where we've really seen people like Morikawa and Victor Hovland just like make a ton of hay this year. That's the reason, right? Like a guy like Victor Hovland is in the top 15 in the world. It's because of his performance at WGCs, and then obviously was sort of in the mix here at the PGA. But yeah, it was a ton of fun to watch Phil. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Phil fan in general. I think he's kind of a little, like you're saying, Fontaine, a little bit of a sideshow, to be perfectly honest, especially the last 5 years.
Fair.
But I think his short game is still, unbelievable.
He's a wizard.
He always hits the shot that it calls for, right? Like people always, bash him for hitting flop shots everywhere. The guy will fucking run. He'll turn a 64-degree wedge into like a 52 and like chase that thing into the bank and hit it the way you're supposed to. Like nip it. Like if it calls for some side spin, like the guy's going to create side spin, just manipulating it with his hands. Like I think those things are things that we've taken for granted because he's been around for 30 years on the PGA Tour. But just unbelievably fun to watch. And then, I mean, right, like down the stretch, he hit the ball as long as anyone did in all week long. So, he hit the longest drive on 16, I think, all of Sunday.
6.
Right, yeah, 366. So then he hits like 6-iron into that green and, gets essentially a tap-in birdie there, which is what he needed to do. So a ton of fun to watch. Obviously, the skill level is still there. He's in good shape. He hits it far enough. So I don't know if Phil's going anywhere. We'll see what he does at Charles Schwab this week, and we'll see kind of what he does with the majors moving forward. But a 5-year exemption, a newfound rejuvenation of sorts. I think we could be in for a period of time where Phil picks his spots and plays really good golf. I would expect him to be there at the Open, just with the way how creative he is and, taking advantage of wind and things like that. So I don't think Phil's going anywhere. Do I think he's going to win, 2-3 majors? No, but he might win 3 times at a major in the next 5 years. I could see that. That's definitely on the table.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And not everybody does this on tour. I mean, they all have the shots, but a lot of times guys just hit their shot and then they make it fit the course. Phil and, there's a handful of other guys out there. I'm not going to be able to name them off the top of my head, but like they hit the shot that's required instead of forcing what they feel into the shot. Like take a guy like Colin Morikawa, right? Like top 5, top 10 player in the world, incredible ball striker, but he hits a cut every time, almost no matter what. Like unless he's in trouble and he's like hitting a weird shot, it's a cut. Where Phil, like to your point, he evaluates what's in front of him. He's like, all right, if I want to hit the best shot here, I have to hit a high draw or I have to hit a low cut or whatever. And he does that. And like the fact that it just shows how good he is, right? Like the talent is still there. And I think a guy that's been there as many times as he has over his career, whatever he found this week with the driver to be able to still hit it hard and far but keep it on the earth. If he can, if he knows what he did to do that, right, and he can, shout out Coach Downs, if he can bottle that and take that with him to the majors, like obviously certain courses aren't going to fit him anymore, given like, the way he plays, and some courses never fit him even when he was at his best. But I agree where he's got it in there. If he's just got to pick his spots mentally, I think almost more than anything. He talked a ton about that this week of how hard he pushed himself to mentally be able to focus for 72 holes again. Because you got to imagine, right? A guy of his career, he's been doing this for 30 years now, probably more than that. Like competitive, legitimate stroke play golf all year, every year, right? Like when you're not playing well, it's got to be just so easy to not care when you have as much money as he does, right? You're not playing for anything in like the RBC Heritage if you're 3 over after one round. Like, why do you care, right? And I think he's spoken a lot to that, which I really that's also why I think I was such a big fan this weekend and like totally rooting for him because as it's well documented, I'm a Tiger guy, but it's hard. You can't not root for Phil this
Mhm.
weekend. And it was just he talked about going home and playing 45 holes a day and trying on every single shot to make 18 holes feel easy. Like at 50 to do that kind of shit, like he's a sociopath. Like that's just crazy to like push yourself to that level at his point of his career. He's already won 5 majors. He's a top 10 player of all time. Like for him to still have that like desire is just so like admirable and like you can't not root for him now, right? Like he's got his gimmicks and whatever that are kind of ridiculous, but like how do you not root for a guy that has accomplished all he's accomplished in golf and still has that kind of desire to push himself that hard, both physically, like you said, Mikey, he got himself in shape, and mentally to go through that extra shit? Like there's just a very small percentage of human beings that can reach that high on the mountain and still push themselves as hard as he does. And that's what made it really awesome for me. Is like, he's also a great interview and he tells you all this stuff, right? Which it was just incredible all around. I love Phil more now than in the last 20 years I ever have, for sure.
Coffee for wellness. Order it now.
I mean, he must be getting a shit ton of sales this week for
I mean, I
coffee.
thought about buying it myself until it's like $80 for 30 K-pods or whatever they're called. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, coffee for wellness. Putts go down, thumbs go up. That's what it is. So
How about the claw on the 71st hole too?
Did you hear why he did it? Did you see that tweet to JT?
Yes, and that is why I
that's so far above my head. It's unbelievable.
That's what I'm saying. That kind of shit. And you know, for the listeners, if you didn't see the tweet, JT was tweeting like how great Phil is to be able to have the confidence in himself and like the feel to do like to like throw the mechanics out of it and just say, how am I going to get this ball in the hole? Right? He had like a 3.5 footer, whatever it might have been on 17 for bogey to only make a bogey. And he went to the claw grip, which he did not use the entire tournament to that point. And Phil saw the tweet and responded, yeah, so like with this past Paloma, I'm probably butchering
past Palom.
Past Palom. With this past Palom grass, right? The greens, whatever it is. It's like they're soft and he had a really uphill putt. So it's easy if you hit down into it, the ball like kind of pops up a little bit and can bounce off line. It was such like a steep uphill putt or whatever that he had coming back. So they clawed it because it's easier to hit up on the putts when you have a claw grip versus his normal grip because he forward presses a ton. And like the fact that he can like break that down and like dumb that down and make it sound as easy as that, and like that's what's going through his head on the 71st hole of a major championship when he's back in the mix for the first time in 11 years, or no, sorry, 8 years was the British, right? Like that's insane that he is just like that. One, tells us that, and two, has the stones to try to just do that. Like it's crazy that that's where your brain's at. When I mean the last 2 years, his 3 years, his form has been shit, right? Like he hasn't been in the mix at all, and to like finally be back in the mix and then just totally go away from what you've been doing the whole week to get you to that point and just, oh, I got to claw this because it's uphill and I don't want it to bounce. Like that's just, that brain is crazy, man. Like that's just some next level shit that I don't think exists in, you know, 99.9999% of like golfers and even professional golfers. I don't think would ever do that, right? Like maybe it's just this generation. They're always form and, you know, repetitive and muscle memory and whatever. Like they would never consider anything like that. It was just mind blowing, and it kind of sheds light. Like he did those chipping videos, right? Like 2 years at the Pro-Am with Larry Fitzgerald that went like crazy viral on Instagram, or whatever. And like, there's only 3 things you got to do to be able to chip: like weight on your front foot, ball position. It's either front or back, never in the middle. And like leading edge has to be the thing. Like, and broke that down and made that like the simplest thing in the world. Like all that kind of shit is just like why Phil, even though it's a sideshow, has like totally won me over in the last 5-6 years, and you can't not root for him.
That's what we call having some feel, boys.
That we're all on the process of, our goal is to develop feel, Joey. You know, it takes us a while because we're not Phil Mickelson, but we're in the process of developing feel. But let's transition a little bit away from golf here for a little bit. You know, I think we're running a little bit of a giveaway, which we'll get into in a minute here, but on our Instagram. But if you weren't on the golf course, kind of, what are some of the things that, with Memorial Day coming up, where are you spending time? Who are you spending time with if you're not on the golf course? Joey, I know you're probably working this weekend, but if you were not working, what would you be spending your time doing? Let's, chat a place, chat some people. What kind of cocktails in your hand? What are you thinking?
I think I've referenced it before, and as you've been there, I kind of always go back to my lake house. It's just kind of a place that I don't really get to go to too often anymore, and it's a place that I just, I just love it there. So I'd be there, hanging out with my family who I haven't really gotten to see in a while either. What am I drinking? I'm just big on the seltzer grind, boys. It's just so refreshing. So I'd probably get that. Although shout out TJ, I do really need to try those Dogfish Head. Yeah, I've been on the lookout for them. I haven't quite found them yet, but I'm sure they're around here. So yeah, just hanging out by the beach, by the lake, maybe go on the boat. Don't really know how the water is. Probably going to be freezing, like titty cold, but the good old Saginaw Lake. Would love to be there. What about you guys?
I'll take this one here. I think if I'm back in New England and it's Memorial Day, it's kind of the kickoff of summer here. So I think 3-day weekend. So we got tons of options, right? Like, and if we're not playing golf, 3 days is a long time. If you're playing golf, 3 days goes by pretty quick. But I think we're doing a day by the pool. If the pool is open at Fontaine's house, we might turn a day into by the pool, some yard games, bonfire, cards, way too many cocktails. That's a good opportunity there. If we're hanging around Western Massachusetts, would love to get down to Rhode Island, spend a little time on the beach. Grandparents are down there. My dad grew up there, so I have a lot of family around. If I'm in Chicago, I think Chicago is such a drinking, dining out, athletic, like sports culture. I think it's some combination of having a day where, you go to a Cubs game, you end up on a rooftop, and then you go out to dinner or something like that, kind of, and doing everything outside if the weather, cooperates, which usually on Memorial Day, it does kind of be in the kickoff of summer. So, a lot of free time when golf's not on the agenda. Fontaine, what would you be up to if you weren't, shooting 65 at, your local track?
Yeah, no, like you alluded to, Fontaine Beach would be open. That would be at least one day, if not a day and a half of, burgers, dogs. It's the kickoff of summer, so it's cookout season, right? Burgers, dogs, bonfire, beers, got, whatever sporting events, baseball, golf, whatever's going on the weekend. I got playoff hockey and basketball going on too. Get that stuff on the TV in the screen house. Get some buddies over, hanging out by the pool as it comes nighttime. We start playing, some cards, whatever it may be, all that fun stuff. So that's at least one day. And then if we're not doing that, maybe skip down to the beach. I'm not a huge beach guy, but I'm good for like at least maybe a day or two a year. I'm not going to spend a whole week at the beach. It's really not my thing. I hate being just covered in sand and like, it's just a pain in the ass. I don't know. I'm not a beach guy, but I'm probably drinking, to kick off the summer. One of those days I'm going to mix it up, get some shandies going, some Leinenkugels, whatever it may be. Just shock the body and get it ready for, the next few months. But yeah, I'm more of I'm almost always golfing, if not at least one, if not three of the days. But if I'm not, it's cookouts, it's, going to the beach, it's doing something outside just because it's the Kickstarter summer. And, you hope by the end of May, you're getting warmer days. I know it's been really warm up in New England in the last 10 days or so. Looks going to be a little bit chillier this upcoming weekend, but still in the 60s, which is plenty warm enough to be outside and doing stuff. I'm actually this weekend going to a Sox game. So, if that always works in the schedule for Memorial Day weekend, I always love that. It's always good to go to Fenway now that they got fans allowed back. But yeah, that's what my usual Memorial Day weekend plans are, somewhere in that ballpark, unless just, plus or minus golf, right?
And I think you bring up an important point here, with kind of with booze being a big part of our lives and something that we like to partake in. You bring up the shandies. I think about kind of the summer beers that like the porch rockers and the other kind of summer beers that we can kind of now mix in. I'm not much of a Radler person, but I know people like to mix in a Radler or something like that. So I think we're kind of entering some uncharted territory for Bogey Proof, right? Like Bogey Proof has really only been around since the end, kind of the beginning of the winter of 2020, and we've been going on this for 6+ months now, and I think it's great, right? We've got like 30 podcasts out there, tons of YouTube, and a ton of content across Twitter and Instagram, and pulling up the Twitch a little bit more too. And I think we finally have entered kind of the summer area where we don't know what it's going to look like, right? Like we have tons of golf to be played. We have, an opportunity to do some kind of, to get into these summer beers, to do some tastings, to do some of these kind of fun activities that really haven't been overly available because of kind of the winter months and the spring kind of being hit or miss in the places that we live. So I think it's a very exciting period of time for kids like us who grew up in New England. The summer, people say, oh, I love spring, I love fall. Summer's the best time. I don't care what people say. There is nothing better than when it's 80 degrees out, and even if you're working, there's just like a sense of freedom that you don't have any other time of year. So it's just looking forward to this stretch of 4 months here, and having an opportunity to play some more golf, drink some different beers, try some different liquors. Like it's gonna be an exciting time.
Everybody's just happier when it's nice out. Like, who likes snow? Like, it's just the worst.
It's like quote unquote pretty the first time, and then you're like, all right, I'm good, and then it's cold as shit for 4 more months, and you're like, well, this sucks.
Fucking stupid. I don't know why this world is just not nice every day. Like, who invented the seasons? Because it was a terrible idea.
We might have to do a little bonus episode again to some science for our guy Joey here on the seasons, but I'm with you. I mean, it's why like every time, come like January, right? Because like November, December, it gets cold, but like you got the holidays going on, so you're kind of distracted from it. But like January, February, every year, I'm like, why am I here? Like, why don't I just go be somebody somewhere else where it's like just nicer? Like,
it's fantastic. Let me tell you.
Yeah, right. From a guy who lives in Florida.
From a guy who's done it, it's fucking the best thing ever. And God, won't get into
a discussion for another time. But yeah, just looking forward to a fun period of time here, and I think it's going to allow us to produce some more fun content here. And really, I mean, the main stretch of PGA Tour golf here, once we've gone through 2 majors with the US Open, the Open, and Tour Championship really kind of all coming up here in the next, June, July, and August. It's really going to be a fun stretch of golf, and excited to kind of produce some more content for everybody across all different platforms. But let's check in kind of on golf this week. I want to highlight 2 events. I think, PGA Tour is playing Charles Schwab at Colonial. And that's going to be a tremendous event. And then the LPGA Tour is out in the Vegas area playing the match play at Shadow Creek. So, Fontaine, give us a little insight on kind of, I know you had a discussion with the gambling lab. What's kind of the overall feel of Colonial Country Club, and who are we keeping an eye out for? Kind of what's that prototype player, if there is one, that we're looking to maybe put a couple bucks on here at Colonial?
Yeah, so Colonial actually last year was the first tournament back from COVID, right? This is our live sports again tournament, which, so a lot of big vibes there. This was also like the I don't know what the right word is here, but like this is where Bryson came out looking like he got stung by 1,000 bees and started hitting the ball 380 yards. And we're all like, what the hell is going on right now? This is his first tournament, after his quarantine workout, nonsense where he ate 7 eggs, 8 pancakes, and a pound of bacon every morning, like all this shit, right? So this was our first look at the Bryson we know and love today. Love might be a strong word there, but
Yeah.
but so it's, you know, this tournament, or this golf course, I should say, we're back in Texas again, and it has like some dog legs and stuff that Bryson exposed, right? Coming back, and it kind of got all of our attention. Like, holy shit, like this dude is just abusing golf courses. But, and I think he actually finished in the top 10, but like come the leaderboard on Sunday, your top 3 were Berger, Morikawa, who went in playoff, and Berger won. Xander Schauffele right behind them. So it's like, those are just ball strikers. They're not, you know, bombers by any means, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, I think this course calls for a consistent guy off the tee. You know, you don't got to bomb it like Bryce. I mean, obviously that's an advantage if he's going to do that and hit fairways. Like, that's just science. But it's just about hitting fairways because it's not overly long. I think, Mike, you might have alluded to earlier, it's like 7,100, 7,200, which for these guys, that's like, you know, just another day in the office, if not on the shorter end of the spectrum. And we were at 78 or 79 at Kiowa last week. So it's definitely on the shorter side, I think, for PGA courses, but it's just about your irons. I think the greens get a little wonky with slopes and whatnot, so you got to hit them in the right spot. So it's going to come down to iron play. I mean, that leaderboard last year kind of, you know, spells that out. But, you know, we identified through our gambling little segment that we posted yesterday, a guy like Corey Connors, if he's not completely mentally ruined from his PGA performance after coming out firing, and then just like, I don't even know what happened on Friday, those first 6 holes. Like, it's one of those things where it's like he's been playing so well all year long and just plodding along in top 10s, 20s, whatever it may be. And then he came out firing day 1 of the PGA. I want to say it was first round leader, and he was one of the early morning groups on Friday, and bogeyed 5 of his first 6 or 5 of his first 7, and had 2 birdies in between. And then you never heard from him the rest of the week. So if that didn't bother him so much to plod along and then, you know, play so well to get yourself to the top of the mountain, and then basically, you know, shit your pants and then disappear and fade. I mean, he finished top 20 still, so it's not like he like was a train wreck the entire weekend, but like when he was at the top, he completely like faltered and fell back to his sweet spot at 17th and then played solid, you know? So if that mentally doesn't bother him too much, it sounds like a place for him, the way he hits his irons. Hard to not like a guy like Morikawa again, just given what we're talking about, to be in the mix. And, or even guys like, you know, like Abe Answer, who had a ridiculous Sunday at the PGA, like, and strikes the shit out of the ball. He's not long, but he's usually consistent, hits his irons well, something like that. Like a few guys like that. I mean, I won't, you know, go through the whole list here, but if you want more, you know, picks or, you know, lineups, if you're a DraftKings guy or FanDuel guy, whatever, hop over to our YouTube and, you know, check out our gambling lab segment this week. But it's a course that I think a lot of different styles fit, but at the end of the day, it comes down to iron play.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, Fontaine, you know, and I think we've seen in the past guys like Kevin Na have success here.
Jordan.
But then we've also seen, you know, Jordan Spieth have success here, who even at his peak was never a great ball striker, at least from a tour, you know, a tour level, I would say. You know, for a while, obviously he was an elite player and winning majors, so his ball striking was really solid. But and we've also seen Phil win here. So I think the last point that you alluded to of really it's kind of open season, and yeah, ball strikers seem to kind of end up around the top. Being a shorter golf course, being a golf course that has dog legs and requires some creativity in places, you know, you really can find someone who finds something that week and drives it straight, and, you know, really find something on the greens and knock some putts in. Could find themselves at the top, and then, you know, those ball strikers kind of just falling a little bit behind and ending up, you know, kind of finishing in the top 5 and the top 10. So I think it's a difficult one for sure. I think there's some plays with some older guys in the field where there's some value. I think my early pick is a guy like Ryan Palmer, who's had a ton of success at Colonial, has sneaky kind of turned himself into a top 30 player in the world. So it's been a lot of fun to see him kind of have a little bit of a rise. The guy had like a 10-year career on the PGA Tour, really never sniffing the top like 50 in the world, like really kind of being on that outside person that maybe gets into a major here or there, but was most certainly not exempt for the Masters or, playing in the US Open every single year. So has really transformed his game and become an elite player. Someone who's found some resurgence kind of in their early 40s. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, this is actually one of my favorite tournaments, oddly enough. I think I love classic golf courses. And when the PGA Tour, really the only place that's been played more consistently on the PGA Tour is Augusta National. Colonial is the second oldest venue as far as continuously being played on the PGA Tour. So that tells you a little bit about how much reverence the tour has for it and how much respect the players have for it as a venue. So I don't see Colonial Country Club going anywhere anytime soon. This, the main sponsors bounced around a little bit. It was like the Dean and DeLuca for a little bit. It was like a Crown Plaza, whatever. But at the end of the day, like the golf course has stayed true. It's one of the favorites of the tour players. And, I think that'll show with, the quality of field that's being played this week and eventually kind of in turn, the golf that kind of ends up on the leaderboard at the end of the day. Joey, do you have kind of any insights on this week? I know, you've been crazy busy, but have you been kind of stalking the field and, is the rat playing? What's
No rat.
What's
The
going
boys
on?
No rat that I saw. The boys Sung Jae's playing, but I'm gonna throw in a little curveball pick this week. Who I believe just played decent last week. Good old Harry Higgs.
He
Decent.
got himself into the Masters. He was T4.
Decent T4.
He was like bogey free on Sunday and got himself into the top 5. So that that was his first major too. So I mean, we didn't really touch on it talking about the PGA, but like shout out to him. That's a awesome performance for a guy who, again, I mean, a lot of people just love him for the personality and the unbuttoned shirt and the shades and like
it's just
all that
like
stuff.
to have fun.
And then he comes out there and he's like, "Hey, by the way, I'm not too bad at this golf thing." Like T4 at the PGA, which is the strongest field in golf. The courses kind of get a little weird sometimes with the PGA, but that I thought that was an awesome storyline that we kind of brushed over in the beginning. But that's a good. I love that shout out because I honestly, you can't. It's one of those guys. How do you root against them, right? I mean, he's the best.
Exactly. You just can't. And another reason why I'm kind of going with him, because 2 hours ago he tweeted at the USGA saying if they needed someone to mediate the potential between Koepka and DeChambeau pairing at this year's US Open, he's happy to volunteer. He said, I need an exemption as of now, but my last major went pretty well. He said front row seat. So, hey, let's go Harry Higgs this week, boys. Change it up.
I love it. There's probably a little bit of value. You're probably buying slightly high with his performance last week, but I'm still thinking there's tons of value in a Harry Higgs play this week.
When have I made a good pick is a real question.
True. This is true. Joey, me and you have been scoreless here. I think.
Yeah, but I go with my heart. You kind of use your brain a little bit more than I do. I just go with players I like and hope they win. So I mean, shit, I guarantee Jordan Spieth's been my pick more than half of the time. So
I mean, he's the favorite this week. So you've gone a little bit off kilter here by choosing Harry Higgs when your guy Jordan is the betting favorite at Colonial this week.
He didn't play well this week. What did he even finish? I didn't even see. I just saw he made the cut at
probably like 25th, 27th.
It's like 3 over.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I thought I saw.
Wasn't horrendous.
He shot 60, 67, 68 on Saturday.
Yeah, he and I mean we can go down with Jordan here, but like he's got something going on with the putter lately. I don't know if it's just. I mean, sometimes you go through stretches where you hit good putts and they don't go in, but the Masters he was like the bottom of the people who made the cut in putting, which especially at Augusta, a place where he's lit it up with the putter before, that was kind of shocking. And he still came in second or third. And then for the PGA, he was like 87th out of or 77th out of the 81 that made the cut there in putting. So on the weekend, right? So like something with the putter's a little off. It does like I mean he gets a ton of TV coverage, so I've been watching him play a bit, and it's not like he's not early walking a lot of them. You know, like when you see these guys are so good that they know when they hit a bad putt and it has no chance, and they walk right after it and they go tap it in, right? Like there's not a lot of those. There's ones where he's hitting and he looks like he hits his spots and they just, they're burning an edge high, they're burning an edge low, they're catching a piece of the hole, not falling. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he might be a little frustrated, if anything, with that, which,
Reasonable.
which especially for a guy like him that's finally got his ball striking back to a place where he can be competitive.
Yeah.
For the putter to be the thing that's getting him, he must be really like super frustrated with that. But
maybe he's got too much loft on his putter. You never know.
Mikey,
you might want to go check that out. Might want to put that in the lab. But I mean, he had comments similar to Brooks last week, where it's like it's really hard to, like, with the wind going on and the green type or the grass type, like it's just kind of weird to putt on him. And I mean, I don't know if you guys got anything else on the Charles Schwab, but I feel like we got to talk about the Brooks Bryson nonsense at some point here, right? I mean,
yeah, let's move on to that.
Everybody saw the video. What was it, yesterday? The video that came out of the eye roll and the I lost my concentration with that bullshit. Like, my goodness, like he's the worst, and like shooting daggers at him before he even walked by, and the massive eye roll, all that stuff that has now turned into memes and everything you see on Twitter. Like, it's gotten out of hand. I mean, before that video, the history of the Brooks Bryson stuff started with like some slow play issues where Brooks went to the media after. It was like, this dude is so slow. Bryson was butthurt about it. Brooks confronted him on the range, like, listen, like, I'm sorry I went to the media, but I'm not sorry about what I said. Like, you play slow as shit. And like Bryson didn't like that. And then like Brooks called him out for juicing with some steroid stuff on Twitter. And then Bryson clapped back at him like, I'm just trying to get my 6-pack. Like, what have you been doing? And then Brooks was like, replied back to him on Twitter again. And it's like, yeah, I'm too short of a 6-pack, and put his 4 major championship trophies in a picture. Like, so they've been kind of going back and forth. And then this video kind of airs of, an unedited kind of behind the scenes, like not polished for TV kind of interview of him being like, this fucking guy, like he like just clearly does not like Bryson at all. And now it's turned into this whole thing today. It's just escalate. Today is Wednesday, right? So it's been escalating nonstop on Twitter. Like, you got Barstool guys getting in on it, with Portnoy tweeting at Bryson being like, hey, I'm playing a charity match against Brooks. Like, I want you on the bag for the mental warfare. And like the match, I don't even know, 4.0, whatever the hell we're on now, with it's Brady and Phil against Aaron Rodgers and Bryson. And Brooks quote tweets that and says, sorry, bro, to Aaron Rodgers. And then Bryson responds back to him and says, like, it's nice living rent free in your head. Like, it's just, honestly, it's like a drama show. It's like watching Desperate Housewives at this point with the shit that's going on Twitter with these two. But I don't know. What do you guys have for thoughts on that? Because I think I love it because it's getting a shit ton of attention to golf, which, that's never a bad thing, right? Especially at the PGA Tour level, where you struggle with ratings and blah, 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 whatever, dying sport. They don't get the youth involved, whatever. This is a good way to do it by doing it all on Twitter with all this nonsense. But it does feel a little like gamesmanship at this point, of just like, I'll take a stab at you, you take a stab at me. Like, but it's like, doesn't feel all that genuine. But I don't know. What do you guys have for thoughts on the Brooks Bryson nonsense that has taken place the last couple of days?
Team Brooks, gotta be Team Brooks, obviously. No, it's fun. I mean, it's good to get some drama into the PGA, and more than time than ever, right? When golf's still kind of booming, it's good to bring some attention to the game, and kind of shows that it's not just, it's not your stereotypical sport anymore. I feel like as much. Like, I feel like it's changing. It's getting a lot more modern, and the younger crowd is really starting to take over, and that's what's making it so much more attracting. So, it's fun. I'm very curious to see what happens in the future. I hope we do get a pairing with those two in it, just to see what kind of happens. And I hope we do see them on a Ryder Cup team together, just kind of see what happens. But then again, I hope they're not on a Ryder Cup team together, because
they're gonna be on the Ryder Cup team together. It's just a matter of, do they get paired together? They're gonna be on the team.
So it's it's, I don't know. Time will tell. It'll be fun to see. But I mean, it's fun watching the banter go back and forth. I'm very curious to see if Bryson actually goes on the bag for Portnoy for the like. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but that'd be pretty funny if
I
it did.
mean,
So
that's no like here go do some Barstool content. It's like 250K a guy's on the table. So
yeah,
like I wouldn't be surprised if Bryson gets involved. He might not literally caddy for him, but be involved in one way or another and also donate to, be like, here's an extra 100K to whoever wins charity, right? Because I think that's what it's all about is it's a charity thing there. But it is crazy to see it. Like, I don't know, like I feel like as golf fans, we've always been like, we don't want the cookie cutter gentleman's game bullshit, right? And we're
yeah.
finally getting a little bit of that. Like these guys are athletes, they're competitive. It's like that's the new generation. So it's like it's bound to happen at some point, right? And I kind of do appreciate just just the realness of it instead of like the fake glossed over like playing pretend fancy thing that golf kind of has been historically.
Get him on Rough and Rowdy.
I mean, we essentially have like two of the biggest meatheads
I would say
in all of sports beefing about each other playing the most pretentious game. I'm not even call it sport. I'll call it a game because it's that pretentious sometimes. So I think it's super intriguing. I think Joey brings up a great point. Like we're going to see some drama on the Ryder Cup at some point. Hopefully we get a pairing. I just wish, PGA Tour needs to grow a pair and put them together.
Just do it.
Don't do it in the US Open if you think it's that big of a drama, but like
do it next
there's
week.
a million other tour events that they're going to play in the same thing. Put them together and figure it out. Like that's great TV. First of all, you have minimal work to do that week because you already have created a bunch of storylines. Like it's not just, it might cause a little bit of drama, but that's great for your ratings. And you can have a skeleton crew out there. If they're just following them, like that's all you need for the morning PGA Tour live. And then you put them in the afternoon the next day. Like we've already got half of PGA Tour live ready to go. And we got some great storylines all week long. So I think it's crazy if we don't do something like that.
Do it at the Memorial. Let's spice up Jack's tournament. That's after
I like
the
that.
Schwab.
They'll definitely both play. So
yeah, you're not going to get them together. You're not going to get them both on site again until the U.S. Open after that. And then honestly, and you kind of talked to it, Mikey, like the summer schedule for golf is nuts. We find like they tightened it up in 2019 and then COVID happened. So we kind of forgot about it. But like PGA,
it's
US
done
Open,
it's done before football.
It's PGA US Open or PGA US Open Championship. Like it's like 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks in between, and then FedEx Cup, and then the Ryder Cup this year too. Like we gotta like not to get off the price of wrestling,
right?
but yeah. When is the Olympics? Dude, I am not an Olympics guy, so I have no
It's
idea.
in
But like
August, I believe.
yeah, I think a lot of them already said they're out. But yeah, well, because why would you go play in the Olympics when the FedEx Cup's going on and you're playing for $10 million? Like,
July 23rd, August 8th. Let me find when golf is though.
I think it's that first week in August, but I mean, yeah, no, I think, maybe you'll see some people play in the Olympics, but I guess we can kind of cross that bridge when that time comes and talk about who's playing for the US and kind of how they stack up against some of these other countries just with the unique format that they do have for the Olympics. But I'm not sure, going back to Bryson and Brooks, and I think you alluded to it, Matt, I don't know how genuine this whole thing is. I have a little bit of trouble believing that it's this caustic. I think, yes, there's some true kind of, not so great feelings towards each other. I think the eye roll is real. But I think the more and more it continues, I think there's some sort of communication between them and some sort of communication between their PR teams that have said, hey, we need to take advantage of the opportunity that we currently have. Let's build this up as much as possible. And, we don't know what the end result is. Maybe it's some sort of charity event. Maybe it's some sort of, bet. I don't know what it is. I think sports have changed so much in the last couple of years, and like the prevalence of gambling and all that. It's just like, I think there's an opportunity for like a match 5.0 or something like that.
Yep.
between the two of them and put some good money on the line and get some charities involved. So I wouldn't be surprised if kind of the final result of this beef is a charity match in the fall or something like that. But that would be amazing if the beef continued, through the entire summer, because that would be a heck of a storyline.
I mean, unless the PGA puts them together and then they because once they get paired together, it either intensifies it and makes it probably a little bit more real, or they squash it and they just play, right? So it's like once that pairing happens, which it has to at this point, right? Like that's where you're going to either know if it's going to keep going and become a bigger storyline where they need their own event to squash the beef, or it'll get squashed there, which, like you said, I mean, they might even be doing it for like the PIP, right? Like that new thing they got with the $40 million for the top 8 people that bring eyes to I forget what they formally called it, but it's basically like the people that influence and bring fans to the game regardless of the golf. So it's basically like your social media impacts and like what you do, for pro-ams, charity events, like stuff like that. So your non-golf contributions to the tour, and the top 8 guys are going to get rewarded for their kind of interactions and impact there. So it might be a PIP thing. I don't know.
Could be.
Could be. We're not going to know until we see the final results of that thing. We break down, all that aspect. But boys, always good chatting with you. I think we got a fun. Oh, let's chat LPGA Tour before we log off here quickly here. LPGA Tour match play, Shadow Creek, ridiculous golf course. We saw them Kokrak won when they played the men's event here earlier this year. I think it's just awesome that the girls get an opportunity to play at a place like Shadow Creek and really showcase their skills. Angela Stanford, actually, I caught a little bit of her press conference the other day on the Golf Channel, and she's like, this event has treated us, and she's like reluctant to say it, but she's like, they treat us like we're on the PGA Tour, right? They got picked up from the airport in limos. They're given a gift. They're given all these gifts. They got some like Las Vegas night stuff, just vendors at practice rounds and opportunities to network and connect with, their fellow members of the LPGA Tour. So I think awesome opportunity for the LPGA Tour to play a great venue. They're playing match play this week. Something that we've harped on here at Bogey Proof is like, we need more match play. We need more other types of formats. So really excited to watch. I know they started today, but excited to kind of see the bracket evolve and see some of the girls play some golf on a top level course, and see how kind of the tournament runs out. Fontaine, any thoughts on kind of, people you're looking forward to seeing, or maybe someone, I think we haven't chatted a whole lot about LPGA Tour as of late. So I'm not 100% sure as far as some people's form, but is there one or two people you're kind of looking at that possibly could be, match play stalwarts, like the Danielle Kings of the world, who won 2 U.S. women's amateurs, or something like that, where match play is really, maybe their forte?
Yeah, I was going to lead off with Danielle King. I'm just a huge Danielle King fan. I think she's a stud. I love watching her play golf. She's aggressive. She plays with like charisma and like a lot of times in the LPGA Tour, you see them, they're just playing, and they're very robotic's not the word, but they're very just like very calm and like level right through it, and like they hit the shot, they walk up, they putt it, like whatever, which is fine. I mean, they're professionals and they're incredible at what they do. But I love Danielle King because she's probably one of the more, emotional is not the way to say it, but like she plays with some like attitude and some spunk, and like reacts to her shots, and like, does some fist pumps. And I mean, and like you said, 1-2 U.S. Women's Am, so she knows how to play match play. She's definitely somebody to watch this week. She started off pretty good today, winning 7-6 in her first match. So, kind of tells the story itself there. But I also am looking at the, I'm going to butcher this name, but the Jutanagarn sisters.
Yep.
Not bad, right? The older,
actually.
the older sister won the tournament in Thailand maybe 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Because it was in Thailand, the timing was wacky. of like when it was on TV. I happened to be working a late Saturday night, like into like 11 at night or whatever, and the coverage started at 9 p.m. I ended up staying up to like 1:30 watching it because she shot 9 under on, it was Sunday there, and ended up chasing down and beating, like, she was 6 back going in the day or 5 back going in the day, shot 9 under and 18 holes in a stroke play event to win by 1 in her own home country, which I thought was super awesome. And she was an animal in doing it. She doesn't hit a driver, doesn't carry one. She might carry it, but she didn't hit it the whole time I watched her shoot 9 under. She just hits these rope 3-woods, like 270, and just like she like swings so hard at the ball, and then like plop, it just stops right next to the hole every time. So I was like thoroughly impressed with how she played that. And I know her younger sister has won a bunch in the LPGA Tour as well. So like, love that for like, just some names I'm kind of familiar with, I guess. And, I've seen play well in the past that I'm kind of pulling for. But Danielle Kang's probably going to be my, like, if I were to make a pick, right, like it'd be Danielle Kang. You can't not. But
yeah, no, I'm excited for this week. And I think LPGA Tour has done I think with being in Hawaii and then being in some of the Asian countries, we've gotten an opportunity to watch some primetime women's golf, which I think has been a lot of fun. Hoping with them in Vegas, I haven't looked at the TV schedule, that we maybe get a little bit of an opportunity to do that. I think, I'm 25 at this point. I'm shot. I'm old. I can't go out. Like Friday night watching LPGA Tour, having a couple drinks, like that's a pretty good way to spend my Friday night. So looking forward to that if the TV coverage allows here. But fellas, always good chatting with you, and looking forward to a couple of fun golf events this week and Memorial Day weekend. It's tough to beat. Joey, don't work too hard. Don't go too crazy out there.
I'm working like 60 hours a week. It's ridiculous, but hey, we're grinding, boys.
Hey, grind on your game when you get an opportunity. And
I barely played this year. It's sad. Like, I usually go out after work. I like just haven't even had time for that. So hopefully tomorrow night we get out there though. So keep you posted.
Flows, man. It'll calm down eventually. It's gotta, right? I mean, this weekend probably not a good weekend to expect it to slow down, but
no, it's just I have a lot planning, just with a lot more responsibilities this year. So just
true.
Just tournaments.
Summer schedule is coming up. You got to have that thing locked in.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to fuck anything up. So,
well, on that note, boys, have a safe Memorial Day weekend. Try and play a little golf, have a couple cocktails, enjoy yourselves. Try to relax a little bit, Joe. All right, we're pulling for you.
Yeah, we'll be all right. I'm here. I'm grinding. I enjoy it. I enjoy the grind.
There you go.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.